to she just looks out for herself.
Okay, right. I see.
I serve the purpose.
Right.
My purpose was to come in and get.
And these are sizable books. They are minimum 200 pages. You can download them absolutely for free by simply going to, for example, this one, you just go to getmymarriageback.com, smartrealestatewholesaling.com, realestatemoneysecrets.com. So yes, I am a 3 times author, and those books are out there for your consumption, and they are also available everywhere on Amazon, anywhere that you pick up books. So in case you prefer a physical,
maybe not.
It's like asking Will Smith, like, would you have punched that guy in the nose?
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly. Would have done
maybe not, right?
Yeah, maybe not. I wouldn't have done a video like that today,
right? Because
it came in as far as even affecting relationships I had. People would
they will see that.
People would maliciously send it to people I'm trying to date or people I'm trying to be with, and those people would dislink from me. People would maliciously send it all over the place, and people dislink from me. It was sent to my pastor. My pastor had a problem with it because, again, sometimes even like in the African church, there's a culture of silence.
Yes, absolutely.
So I had violated the culture of silence. I violated even in the African. I was surprised that even for African men, there is a culture of silence.
Yes,
so I had violated the African culture of silence. I became like this kind of nonsense,
Yes.
So that was what happened. Just to answer that question,
everybody would come. I can imagine everybody would come at you and judge you.
I was judged.
And not even take the time to say.
No, nobody took the time to even.
Where is that coming from? What do you mean? What happened? Like, tell us a little bit more.
Yeah. Nobody took the time to find out. Nobody took anything. So because we have so many questions today for the show. But that's pretty much.
Yeah. No. We're just gonna have a conversation, right? And
yes.
I like it. I like to do it that way. You're going to be I'll say my first official guest. The first person was more so a co-host, and that was Kenneth, right?
Yeah.
Right. It was more so a co-host, and I wish he had a stronger internet connection like yours. So today I'm glad you're stable now, so that we can really have a solid conversation, right?
Yes.
My question is that, it's very, generally speaking, I know this for a fact. We don't stumble into this conversation without some type of either personal experience or somebody personally that hit a nerve. Not just because you're hearing stories. People just don't say, we hear stories all the time. We just don't pick up the phone and start recording. And I'll tell you a quick story. I went through something that's not really about marriage and relationship, but it was about relationship with a church that I used to attend. And that church, it was brawl between the father and the son and the in-laws, and it was just messy, right? And I'm a keyboard player. I don't know if you can tell yet.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Right. So I'm a little bit more quite more engaged. Are you still there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay, all right. I'm a little bit more a little bit more engaged there with the whole brawl than I would like, and I didn't really like that. So when everything, let me say your language, in the end of the story, right? What happened was that I was completely pissed off, and I picked up my phone because majority of people that are connected with me on Facebook know these people. And I started to record, and I think I went on ranting just like the way you did for 20 minutes. I said a lot of stuff that I wouldn't want out there. At the end of 20 minutes, I found out I didn't press record. Right? The people I'm talking about right now, if they hear me, they will know exactly what I'm talking about, but that video doesn't exist, right? And I didn't, right? And my wife was slightly a little bit involved because I'm involved, right? And my wife, when I told her what happened, she was like, thank God, because she would have normally stopped me from something like that. So I can understand when people would say, how come Jada didn't stop Will Smith? I'm like, well, you have to kind of like have that kind of behavior normally before somebody would be trying to stop you. What we knew about Will Smith was somebody who was well poised, who was always on point, and nobody knew was going to go slap somebody in the face going on that stage. Now, I don't even think the wife, because he's always been on point when it comes to PR, how he looks on the outside and things like that, right? So, but I was so glad that I didn't press the record. So I can relate to a little bit what you're saying, that sometimes when you are going through something, you pick up, or somebody that went through something and hit a nerve, you can pick up the phone, record thinking you're speaking, you're starting a conversation. But oh my God, the internet is a completely different type of beast. And you were talking about 8 years ago. Imagine if it was today, right? So what was it with you? What was it with your personal story that made the story you were trying to tell, the conversation we were trying to tell, what was that made it hit a nerve so much? Was it somebody that went through something, or was you that personally went through something?
Ola, it was a combination of both. Let's be honest on your show. Hopefully this show people can watch it, because I'm really concerned about your viewers.
Okay.
And I want to make your show one of the biggest shows ever. I hope people would be able to, even like the TVC, people would be able to see this show. If possible, the link can get to them. Mm-hmm. It was a combination of both. I will start by saying sometimes you really don't know people, what people have in their hearts and what they have in their minds and what they're thinking about. Mm-hmm. 8 years ago, 9 years ago, 10 years ago, I was a very naive guy. I was very, very, very naive. What I know today, Ola, and what you know today, which I think has inspired me in some ways, because I've spoken with you and I found you to be very, very well grounded on the life itself. Right. I think there's an African proverb. There's an African proverb where they say the true wisdom that keeps you alive is very rare. I think they say that, so they're trying to talk about So the wisdom that keeps you alive is what I encountered when I talked with you. Mm-hmm. However, the truth of the matter is I was very naive. However, in my being naive, I had a peculiar characteristic. I came from a household where there was a lot of things that were not a problem. Being good to your wife wasn't a problem. So I was the kind of guy that would clean, I would wash, I would sweep, I would do the laundry, I did everything. And I was so giving. It
wasn't a big deal for you, basically.
No, it wasn't a big deal for me at all in the beginning. I mean, it wasn't even. I came from Africa. If you remember the Africa we came from, it's just like I was discussing today.
Well, when you say you came from Africa, you're like me. You were born here, taken to Africa.
I was born here, taken back to Nigeria, and then I was brought back again. So the Nigeria that I went to and I saw as a young boy, white versus black did not exist.
Right. Me too.
And man versus woman did not exist.
Right.
It did not exist. This idea of this sensitivity of woman versus man, and it did not exist. I wasn't exposed to that thing. I just remember I'm the only son. I had two sisters. My sisters, I would play ball with them, soccer with them. I would laugh with them. I would talk to them. I would sleep with them. They would sleep with me. I had a world in which I really didn't have that woman-man thing in me. I even went to secondary school. I went to university. It wasn't a big deal. It wasn't something that was at the back of your mind or something you had to be conscious about. Right. You understand? And again, the atmosphere wasn't also sort of the kind of atmosphere where men went about harming women just because they had the power to.
Right.
It was a different era.
It was a free will. Everybody's happy.
It was a free will,
like everybody's
happy-go-lucky world. It was a free will. So I came from that world, and I came here, and I really didn't know. I was very naive.
How old were you when you came here?
I came here, and to show you how crazy it is, and I know this may sound strange, I came here when I was around 30, but I was naive. Okay.
Of course.
I was naive because as the only son, my dad had a mighty compound. He never allowed me to live outside the family house. I never rented a house like some of my contemporaries would go to Abuja or go to Lagos and rent a house and live there. Right. I never had that experience. So I was really pretty much, when I left is when I discovered,
it's a real world.
I had been protected for a long time.
Yeah.
And I mean, my biggest exposure was maybe university and maybe youth service. And so I had been protected for a long time. So, but when I came here is when I discovered all these things. And even when I discovered it, it wasn't something in the back of my mind. It wasn't something.
So when you say you discover all this thing, can you elaborate a little bit?
I will say that the first person to expose me to it was my ex, really, to be honest.
When you say it, what did she expose you to?
She exposed me to this idea of and it's a very powerful thing. She exposed me to she just looks out for herself.
Okay, right.
I served a purpose.
Right.
My purpose was to come in and get